Welcome to all of you out there to this lecture 5 in module 1 of my video series in Introduction to Data Structures in C. Today we will be talking about arrays and pointers. Arrays. What are arrays? Arrays are collection of elements of similar type. The elements that we are referring to are the primary data elements of C. As we have seen in our previous lectures, there are 5 primary or primitive data types. Those are integers, floats, characters, double and void. So an array is basically a collection of a set of integers or a set of floats or a set of characters, etc. The point to be noted is that all the elements in the array occupy continuous memory locations in the data memory. Okay then, why do we need arrays? Consider the following scenario. Suppose we have a list of 1000 students. Of this 1000 students, we are interested in storing their marks. So one basically needs to define a integer variables for all these 1000 students as given out here. So we have a variable declaration or a variable a data type declaration int, and then I have all my students as variables, say 0 to 999. Those are 100 students. Just imagine how long we would take to type of this line of code, and is this feasible? Obviously something better can be done. Okay, so this is where arrays come to our rescue. Using arrays, the same declaration can be just summarized like that. Okay, so we have a data type of type integer, and then we have an integer array. Okay, and the name of the array is student marks. And how long is this array? This array can store 1000 integer data types. So 1000 consecutive memory locations will be allocated under the name student marks to store the marks of the students. This is how the array gets declared in the memory. Okay, so we have student mark 0, student mark 1, 2, 3 and so on till student mark 999. Student mark is called as the name of the array, and 0, 1, 2, 3 for which we refer to as index or subscript of the array. So using an array simplifies our declaration part of these variables very much. Over and above this, array has many other advantages. Using array, we can basically do a random indexing. What does that mean? That means that we can use the index of an array and directly look into the mark of a given student. Say we want to know what is the mark of the 10th student, all that I have to do is put student mark 9. Okay, 9 because 0 is taken as the first element of the array. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 9 becomes the 10th student. Please remember this. Okay, so if you want to know what is the mark of the jth student, okay, we just have to give that as the index of this array, and out comes the mark, or we can refer to this mark of the student. Say for example, student mark 0 refers to the mark of the first element of the array or the first student. By changing the value of the index j, we can basically refer to any given student at any given point of time. So array has not only simplified declaration, it has basically made us very much in control in order to have access to whichever information that we want in this array. Apart from declaring an array can also be initialized when it is been declared. Okay, so the index for or the syntax for declaration and initialization is as given here. So first we have the data type, which indicates what type of data elements does the array store. then we have the array name, then we have the size of the array, how many data types that we want to store, and then we can basically give the initial values of each of these elements in curly braces. Here is an example. Okay, suppose we have an integer array id num of 7. So this indicates that I can store 7 elements or 7 elements of type integers. And if I want to give them some initial value, you can just put those values in curly braces separated by comma. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 7 elements get stored into this id num array. Similarly, we can have a floating point array and initialize it with floating point numbers. A character array also can be initialized, and this character array, when terminated with the null character, that is \0, remember backslash, the escape operator or the special operator. So \0 basically indicates a null. Okay, so each of these characters, when terminated with a null, can be used as a string. So we can basically have a string using a character array. So out here basically I have a character array choval of length 6, which means to say that I can store 5 characters because the last character is been reserved for the null data type. If I want to treat this as a string. Next comes what is the dimension and size of array. So these are two parameters that you will be referring more often when you are into C programming. Okay, one can have a one-dimensional array. What is dimension? Dimension is the number of indices that is being associated with the array. Say for example, out here I have an array called as xnum of type integer, and how many number of indices are there? There are just one index. Mind you, 20 is the size of the array. It is not the index, it is the size of the array. And how many indexes are there? There is just one index. So this is called as the one-dimensional array. Okay, since there is only one index, it is a one-dimensional array. Okay, and how many elements get stored in this array basically determines the size of the array. Okay, similarly I have a floating point array called as fprice, which again is of dimension 1 because there is only one dimension or one index. And what is the size of this array? The size of the array is 10. Okay, similarly you can have a character array chletter, which is out here, and the size of the array is 70, whereas the dimension is 1. So all the examples given out here are that of a one-dimensional array. So similar to this, we can have a two-dimensional array. The only difference is now there are two indices or two subscripts. Okay, the first dimension and the second dimension. The rest of the format remains the same. So we have a data type, we have the name of the array, then we have the first index, and then we have the second dimension index. Okay, or we call it as the first subscript and the second subscript. Given here are the examples of a two-dimensional array. So here I have an array called as x integer of type integer, okay, and which is of 2 dimension because there are two subscripts or two indices. Okay, so same thing is out here, a floating point array of matrix num, okay, 20 cross 25. So basically you can store matrices, say a two-dimensional matrix in a two-dimensional array. Hope that makes things clear to you. We can also store strings in a two-dimensional character array. Okay, so the first index is called as the row index and the second index is called as the column index. So here I have a character array called as name. Okay, and how many elements can I store? I can store 6 elements, each element of a maximum of 9 characters because it is a string. So the last character should be a null value. So I can store at the maximum 6 strings each of length 9 characters of 9 characters. Okay, so this would be my 1 cross first element or the first string, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth and the sixth. Okay, so given out here is how the C compiler basically pictorially given out here is how the C compiler basically organizes this data of array of strings in its memory. So Mr. the first row, okay, this is the first name, so first row, okay, and how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and the 8th one is a null by default, because if you want to treat it as a string. Okay, similarly the second name will be at row index 2 and what is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, again the 8th element is a null character, and so on. We can store a series of strings in a two-dimensional array. So that's all about arrays. So let's look into another concept called as pointers. Now what is a pointer? Okay, pointer is basically a variable which is used to store the address of another variable. Okay, so pointer is called as a reference to another variable. Okay, so it's a variable like any other given variable, but this pointer variable doesn't store data, it stores the address of another variable which has data in it. Okay, now why are pointers used? Why do I need this concept of pointers? Okay, pointers basically find a lot of use, because if you want to change any value or any reference, any variable which is being declared and defined outside the scope of the function, one needs to use pointer. Okay, it is also very useful in basically referencing multidimensional arrays. It is mandatory to use a pointer when you want to allocate memories on the fly, okay, which is also called as dynamic memory allocation. We look into this concept at a later stage of dynamic memory allocation. Pointers are also used, very much used, in order to build complex data structures like linked list, stacks, queues, tree, etc. We'll go in depth into this in module 3 and 4 and look how to basically use this along with pointers, or how pointers are used in order to construct linked list, stacks, queues and trees, etc. So having listed a few examples where pointers are extensively used, let us dig deep into what are pointers. As mentioned earlier, pointers are variables that basically store the address of another variable. So when a variable gets declared, say int v, and initialized, the compiler basically reserves memory space in order to store the data. Okay, say for example out here, and this memory space is basically referred to by or referenced by the name of the variable. So out here, okay, I have a integer variable v. What does that mean? That means to say that my C compiler has allocated 4 bytes of memory to store integer data, and the data once we get defined gets stored into this particular memory address. Okay, so that is what happens when an integer variable is declared and n is being initialized. Now in the second line, see what is being done. I have another variable called as int star p. So now the star p indicates p is not an ordinary variable, but rather it is a pointer. Okay, so the C compiler basically again reserves some memory space to store what? So this is a pointer, it has to store the address of another variable. So what is happening out here? I am taking the address of v, so there is some address there, okay, of v, and that gets stored into this particular variable p. Okay, so here 4 bytes of memories are allocated to store the information, which is the value 101, okay, and the address or the base address of the or the first address of this particular variable gets stored inside another variable called as p. Okay, again the pointer basically takes a memory location of 4 bytes in order to save the address of the previous variable, which is v. Given here is a couple of code snippets on how pointers are basically declared and used. So here I have an integer pointer p. Mind you, an integer pointer can only point towards an integer variable. A floating point pointer can only point towards a floating point variable. You cannot have a mismatch between the type of the pointer and the type of data for which it is pointing to. Okay, similarly a character pointer can only point towards character variables. Okay, not only for primitive data types, we can have pointers for complex data types as well. I can have pointers for arrays, I can have pointers for structures, pointers for linked list, and so on. And you can even have pointers for function. Okay, so pointers are quite flexible and are very useful in C programming. Again, while referring to pointers, the two operators that we normally use are the address of and the value at operator. The address of operator is normally denoted or is denoted using the ampersand sign. Okay, so fine. So let us look where we use the address of operator. Okay, so here I have a variable called as v, and then I have of type integer. So I have a variable v of type integer. Then I have another variable. Now this is not a normal variable, it's a pointer which is as indicated by star. Okay, and the type of this variable is integer. And then I have another integer variable, okay, which is in fact an integer array of type of length 5. The memory location of v is normally given by the address of operator. So the address of operator gives me the address of v. The address of operator when used in conjunction with a, which is an array, gives me the base address or the memory location of the first element in this array. The address of operator when used with p, okay, now that's interesting, okay, gives me the memory location of the pointer variable p. Okay, so you can know that even p is a variable and every variable is nothing but memory addresses. Okay, so when you use address of p, it gives me the address of the pointer. Fine. The next operator is the value at operator. So the value at operator basically gives me the value referenced by a pointer. Let us look into this code. Okay, here I have an integer variable v which has been assigned a value 101. Okay, so what is done later is I take the address of v and then pass it on to the pointer p. So you understand this, it's an address of operator. So what this gives out is not the value of v, which is 101, but the address in which this 101 is stored. So that address comes out of this address of operator, and where does it get stored? It gets stored into the pointer. Okay, and then when I use %d star p with the printf statement, so what does come out of this? %p, okay, sorry, not percentage but star p. What comes out of it? It comes out at value at p. Okay, so or the value pointed by p. What is there in p? P basically has the address of v and v has 101, so the value pointed by p is 101. So this prints out 101. So we have the value at operator and then we have the address of operator. Hope these concepts are clear. Okay. Now a pointer can basically have a null character as well, which means to say that the pointer is called as a null pointer, or it basically points to an address which doesn't exist in my memory block. So all the pointers which point to null are called as null pointers. Okay, the variable in the address of operator must be of the right type as that of the pointer data type. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, here say we have a variable v of type integer. So what this means is I have to have a pointer of type integer in order to point to this variable. So in the next line I have an integer pointer int star p, and this int star p now can point to the address of v, which is also of the type int. Okay, similarly I have another integer array now a, and what is the size of this array or the length of the array? It is 5. So I have an array of length 5. Okay, now this integer pointer can also be used to point towards the base address of this array. Okay, so I put ampersand a2, so basically it gives me the address of the second element of this array, not the base address. This gives me the address of the second element of the array. Okay, let's go through this small code snippet in order to get more clarification on use of pointers. Okay, so going through this code, initially I have the standard stdio.header file in order to make use of printf and scanf. Then I have two variables. One is been declared and initialized, the other one is just declared. So I have a variable a which is been initialized to 3, and then I have a variable b which is just been declared. Then I have three integer pointers, int star p, star q and star r. Star p basically points towards the value at a, so p is pointing to a. Q is pointing to p. Q is pointing to p. Okay, and what is p pointing to? A. And what is q? Q is same as that of p, so pointing the value at q is same as the value at p. So what is the value at p? The value at p is address of a. Now that address of a is been given to q, so this is as good as writing address of a out here once again. Address of a out here once again. So both p and q points to the same variable which is a. Then I have star r which gives me the address of b. So what is b pointing to? B is pointing to some junk value. So b has some junk value, and r basically is pointing to this particular junk value. Fine, because the address of b is now stored in the pointer r. Further going through the code, we basically ask the user to enter a value, and whatever the value the user enters is been stored in r. Okay, so what is r? What is r? What is r pointing to? R is basically pointing to the address of b, or it is pointing to b. So I say scanf %d r. Okay, and then I start printing out the values. So when you say print a and b, what do you expect? A to be printed as, suppose you give this input to r as 7, and then you say print a and b, 3 and 7 gets printed out. Okay, and next you can also use %p, q and r to print out the values of the data a and b. So where is p pointing to? A. Where is q pointing to? Q is also pointing to a. And what is r pointing to? R is pointing to b. But the value of b is being read through r out here. Okay, so when this line gets executed, what you get is 3, 3 and 7. Okay guys, I think that makes pretty much clear what are arrays, what is a pointer, and how to use them. Thank you for listening to this lecture, and please stay with me for the rest of this course. Thank you.